If this story moved you, we'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. We're always amazed by how far these stories travel. Your thoughts matter, and we read every single one. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you won't miss tomorrow's story. It's one filled with courage, redemption, and a twist you won't see coming. Thank you for being part of our storytelling family. Your presence here means more than you know. The winter air bit hard that morning, sharp enough to cut through denim and bone. Noah Bennett, a 42-year-old single father, stirred a pot of stew inside his modest Montana cabin, the wood stove humming behind him. The place was small, just under 900 square feet, but it was home. Quiet, simple, steady. And in the heart of a blizzard, steady was all he had left. Outside, the snow fell heavy, coating the trees, burying the field, erasing tracks as quickly as they were made. Eli, his 11-year-old son, burst through the door in a flurry of breath and frost, cheeks flushed and eyes wide. "Dad," he gasped, yanking off his snow-crusted boots. "There are footprints, out by the pond." Noah set the ladle down, brow furrowed. "Footprints? 2 sets, little ones, but they don't come back." That stopped him cold. Without a word, Noah grabbed his coat, threw on his gloves, and followed Eli out the back door. They trudged through knee-deep snow, past the barn, toward the tree line that bordered the property. Beyond that, about 300 feet from the house, lay the frozen pond, barely frozen. It was only mid-December. No one in their right mind would trust that ice. But there they were, 2 small sets of footprints, maybe size 10 toddler boots, side by side, leading out to the middle of the pond. Then, nothing. Noah's stomach dropped. "They could be deer," he said, his voice low. But Eli pointed. "No hooves, Dad, just boots." Noah took off running. The ice groaned beneath his weight, brittle and uncertain. Every step was a gamble. He didn't shout, didn't call out. He just listened, and then he heard it, a muffled cry. A child's voice, faint, distant, coming from underneath the ice. Without hesitation, Noah dropped to his knees, pressed his ear to the surface. The sound was real, sobbing, desperate. His breath caught. He didn't think. He didn't check for tools or yell for help. He raised his elbow and slammed it down. Once, twice, 3 times. The ice cracked in a spiderweb pattern, then shattered beneath him, sending shards flying as freezing water surged up to his chest. He plunged in. The cold was like a punch to the lungs, stealing his breath, turning his limbs to stone. But he pushed forward, eyes scanning the dark water. There, they were. 2 little girls, trapped just beneath the surface, their faces pale, eyes wide with terror. He reached through the current, his fingers scraping for grip, one wrist, then another. With all the strength he had left, Noah pulled until he felt his muscles tearing and the edges of the world fading. Pulled until the girls broke the surface, gasping, limp in his arms. By the time Eli reached the barn and called for help on the old emergency radio, his father had already dragged both children to the snowy edge of the pond, shaking, soaked, blue-lipped, but alive, and he refused to let them go. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later, though to Noah, it felt like hours. He sat slumped, on the snowy bank, shivering uncontrollably, soaked to the bone, his arms wrapped tightly around the 2 girls. Their faces were ghostly pale, lips tinged with blue, tiny hands curled into fists against the cold. But they were breathing, barely, and Noah wasn't about to let go. "Sir, we've got it now," one of the EMTs said, kneeling beside him. Noah's jaw clenched. His voice came out low, tight. "Don't..." Don't let them get cold again. They rushed the girls into the back of the ambulance, layering heat packs and warm blankets across their small frames. Eli climbed in behind them without hesitation, his face pale but steady. Noah tried to stand, but his knees gave out. One of the medics caught him just in time. In the emergency room, heat returned slowly, through layers of wool, through IV drips, through the soft hum of machines checking vitals. A nurse handed Noah a blanket and a cup of coffee. He didn't drink it. His eyes were fixed on the curtain that separated him from the girls. Eli sat beside him, hand gripping his like a lifeline. "Are they going to be okay?" he asked. Noah nodded, faintly, though the truth was, he didn't know. "They're safe now," he whispered. "We did what we could." Hours passed before a doctor stepped out and offered a fragile smile. "They're stable, minor frostbite, no signs of hypothermia-related damage. It's kind of a miracle." But miracles came with questions. "Do you know who they are?" the nurse asked. Noah shook his head. "They haven't said much." Eventually, one of the girls, Lily, whispered their names, hers and her sister's. June, 6 years old, twins. When asked about their parents, her voice grew even quieter. "She's crying. In the trees." No one knew what that meant. No missing persons report. No frantic phone calls. No one came storming into the hospital asking for 2 missing girls. Just silence. Back at the cabin that night, the wind howled against the windows, rattling the old frames. The fire crackled in the stove, throwing shadows across the walls. Noah paced while Eli sat on the floor, half watching the twins, who were now curled together under blankets on the couch, still and silent. "They didn't get lost," Eli said, softly. Noah stopped mid-step. "What?" "They didn't wander onto the ice. They were sent." He didn't want to believe it, but the logic sank in. Boots too small to travel far. No coats thick enough to withstand the storm. And that phrase, "Again, she's crying in the trees." Noah looked out the frosted window, eyes scanning the distant line of woods behind the barn. Nothing but darkness. But the silence now felt loaded, like a question waiting to be answered. Who were these girls? And why had no one come looking? 3 nights passed. The girls spoke little. They clung to each other like vines to a tree, sleeping, curled together on the pull-out couch in Noah's living room. June had nightmares. Lily barely ate. Eli did what he could, read them stories, shared his toys, but nothing seemed to thaw whatever fear still lived behind their eyes. Noah tried calling the sheriff's department again. Still no missing persons report. No alerts. No updates. "Someone's gotta be looking for them," he said, pacing the floor after another call. But the silence on the other end of the line kept saying otherwise. Then, just after sundown on the 4th day, it happened. He was outside chopping wood, snow falling, soft and steady, when something shifted at the edge of the tree line. A figure, small, hunched, barely standing, stepped out of the shadows. Noah froze, axe in hand, heart hammering. She looked like a ghost. Her coat was ripped, her jeans were torn at the knees, hair tangled, skin red and raw from the cold. She stumbled forward a step, caught herself against a pine branch, and whispered in a voice so broken it almost didn't sound human. "Are they safe?" Noah dropped the axe. He took a cautious step forward. "They're inside. Warm. Safe." The woman, no, the mother, let out a gasp that turned into a sob. Her knees buckled, and Noah caught her just before she hit the ground. Her skin was ice. Her hands were trembling. Her lips were cracked and bleeding. She didn't ask to come in. She didn't demand to see them. She just looked at him with wild, desperate eyes and said, Please. Just tell me they're okay. Noah nodded. They are. You can see them, but you need to get warm first. Inside, the moment she walked through the door, the entire room held its breath. The fire snapped. The air thickened. Rosie and June turned from their coloring books and saw her. Mommy! Both girls screamed the word in unison, jumping to their feet. The woman fell to her knees as the girls flew into her arms. She cradled them, sobbing freely, rocking them back and forth like she was trying to convince herself they were real. Noah stood by the kitchen counter, watching, unmoving. Eli stood beside him, whispering. She came back. Later, after the girls had fallen asleep on either side of their mother, Noah handed her a mug of tea. She took it, fingers still shaking. My name is Rachel, she said softly. Rachel. Whitmore. She glanced at him, waiting for recognition, but the name meant nothing to Noah. She offered a faint, bitter smile. Figures. My family's face is on buildings, hotels, magazine covers, but none of that helped when I needed out. She looked toward the sleeping twins. I didn't leave them. I was trying to save them. And in her voice, tired, cracked, but unflinching, Noah believed her. The next morning began quietly. Snow fell in soft waves, blanketing the world in white. The girls were still asleep, curled against their mother on the living room couch. The fire crackled gently, casting golden light across the worn floorboards. Noah stood by the kitchen window, sipping black coffee, watching the tree line through the glass. Then he heard it. Engines. Not the old diesel grumble of pickup trucks, but something smoother, sleeker, coordinated. Noah set his cup down, wiped his hands on a dish towel, and stepped outside. 10 black SUVs rolled down his quarter-mile driveway in tight formation, tires crunching over snow like whispers. The lead vehicle stopped 20 feet from the porch. The others followed suit, forming a silent, controlled procession like a motorcade. His gut tightened. Inside, Rachel was rinsing dishes, humming softly. The twins colored on the floor. Eli was building a Lego tower by the stove. Noah burst through the door, his voice low, urgent. Rachel, you need to look outside. She wiped her hands on a towel, stepped to the window, and froze. The color drained from her face. Oh, God, she whispered. You know them? Noah asked. Not friends, she murmured. Not even close. She turned fast. Girls, come with me, Rosie blinked. Are we leaving? No, baby, Rachel said gently. We're just going to the bedroom for a little while. Eli, can you stay with them? Eli nodded, sensing the shift in the air. As Rachel passed Noah, her hand brushed his sleeve. Please, don't let them take me before I can explain. Then came the knock. Polite. 2 taps. Sharp and professional, like a corporate office visit, not a farmhouse encounter. Noah opened the door. The man standing there wore a tailored wool coat, gray hair slicked back, an earpiece tucked behind his ear. His voice was calm, calculated. Noah Bennett? He asked. Noah didn't answer. I'm Thomas Greer. I represent the Whitmore family office. I believe you've been sheltering Rachel Whitmore and her daughters. They needed help, Noah said flatly. And we're here, Greer replied smoothly, to relieve you of that responsibility. Noah's jaw tensed. You make it sound like they're a burden. They're not, Greer said. They're high-profile individuals in a sensitive legal situation. Our presence ensures their return is discreet. Rachel appeared in the hallway, eyes clear but trembling. You can come in, she said, but only if you're here to listen. Inside, the temperature shifted. The fire still burned, but the room turned cold. Greer stepped forward, unfolding a leather-bound folder. "We're prepared to offer terms: PR management, education for the girls, legal protection, control over the narrative." Rachel didn't even look at the papers. "I have everything I need," she said, stepping beside Noah. "Right here." Her hand found his, quietly. No performance, just truth. And in that moment the balance shifted. Greer closed the folder. "We'll be in. Touch," he said. The SUVs rolled out, leaving tire tracks in the snow. And for the first time, Noah realized this wasn't just Rachel's past catching up. It was her future, fighting to stay. The SUVs disappeared over the hill like a shadow retreating from the light. Rachel stood on the porch, arms wrapped tight across her chest, her breath curling in the frigid air. Beside her, Noah remained still, hands in his jacket pockets, watching the horizon until the last taillight vanished. "You didn't have to stand up for me," she said quietly. He didn't look at her when he answered. "You didn't have to. Come back for them." She smiled, faint but real, and turned to look out across the snow-covered pasture. "I used to think I had to choose, be a mother or be free. But maybe freedom was never about running." Noah said nothing, just stepped closer, his presence solid and steady. That night, as the fire burned low, Rachel pulled out an old manila folder. Inside were blueprints, crisp, hand-drawn, a little worn around the edges. "I started this years ago," she said, spreading the pages across the kitchen table. "A grant project, a sanctuary for families like mine, like yours. After my husband died, the board shelved it, said it didn't fit the brand." Noah raised an eyebrow. "And now?" "I still have access to the land, and the funds, and I know the right place to build it." She pointed out the window, toward the barn. "This place is more than shelter. It's survival. It's quiet, honest. It's healing. I want to build something here. I want to call it the Hearth." Noah leaned on the table, scanning the pages. Skylights, reading corners, therapy rooms, a kitchen that felt like home. "You're serious?" he asked. "I've never been more." He nodded once. "Then we better get to work." The next morning, the sound of hammers echoed across the field. Volunteers came in pickup trucks and station wagons. Contractors arrived with tool belts and thermoses of coffee. A local teen brought his sketchbook. A retired nurse offered to help with childcare. They didn't come for profit. They came for purpose. Inside the barn, Rachel moved like she belonged, boots in the snow, hair tied back, sleeves rolled to her elbows. She wasn't the woman who had run from everything. She was the woman who stayed to build something new. And Noah, he watched her with a quiet kind of pride. Not flashy, not loud. Just the kind of pride that grows when you realize someone else sees what you've built as worth saving. By dusk, they had cleared the space, mapped the foundation, and strung lanterns along the rafters. Children's laughter echoed across the field. Rosie, Willa, and Eli built snowmen and gave them names: Chief of Cocoa, Commander of Cuddles. It didn't look like a construction site. It looked like a beginning. Later, as Rachel stood beside Noah, under the stars she reached for his hand. "You ever wonder how we got here?" she asked. "All the time," he said. She smiled. Maybe some miracles aren't found. Maybe we build them." Noah turned, looked into her eyes, and whispered the only word that mattered. "Stay." And this time, she didn't hesitate. Already did. If this story touched your heart, we'd love to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. It's amazing to see how far stories of hope, love, and redemption can travel. Maybe you've known what it feels like to rebuild after loss. Maybe you've seen a second chance show up when you least expected it, just like Noah and Rachel did. Whether you've been the one offering shelter or the one searching for it, your voice matters here. Tell us what part of this story resonated with you the most. Was it the rescue on the ice, the moment Rachel returned, or the vision of turning a broken-down barn into a sanctuary for healing? We read every single comment, and your words help build a global community rooted in compassion and connection. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell, because tomorrow's story brings another incredible journey you won't want to miss. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. You're not just a viewer here, you're part of the story.